All right, let's talk about it. AI is completely changing the game, and the career playbook we all grew up with, well, it's pretty much obsolete. The real question everyone's asking isn't if AI is going to change things, but how we can build a career that thrives alongside it instead of getting run over by it. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. Build the playbook for an AI-resilient career.
Now, before we dive deep, just a little context so you know where we're coming from. This is actually part 4 of a much bigger 9-part series. It's all based on a really in-depth research report from Virtualization Options LLC on this very topic. We're zeroing in on Chapter 4 today, which is all about the skills you need to build. So yeah, we're just scratching the surface of the full report here.
Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. The question that's probably on your mind. What in the world actually makes a career AI-proof? We hear that buzzword all the time, but what does it really mean? Spoiler alert, it's not about finding some magical job that AI can't touch. It's about a total shift in how we think about our own value.
And to really get a handle on that shift, we need a blueprint. Look, this is not about you trying to compete with a machine on its terms. You're not going to outcalculate a computer. This is about building your career on a foundation of something they will never, ever have: pure, unfiltered humanity.
So according to the research, AI-resilient careers really shine in 4 key areas. First, creativity and innovation. Coming up with genuinely new ideas, not just rehashing old ones. Second, emotional intelligence. That's the real human stuff, right? Empathy, negotiation, building trust. Third, complex problem solving, especially when things are messy and there's no clear answer. And finally, leadership and culture, the ability to inspire and guide people, which is something an algorithm just can't do.
And honestly, this quote from the report just nails it. Resilient careers are built on, quote, distinctly human capabilities that AI struggles to replicate. The takeaway here is huge. The winning strategy isn't to be a better machine, it's to double down on being a better human. That's the whole game.
But, okay, leaning into our human skills is just one side of the coin. We also have to get smart about the technology itself, and that requires a very specific mindset, which is exactly what we're getting into next.
This slide is so important because it just smashes a huge misconception out there. There's this panic, this feeling of, oh my gosh, I have to go learn to code right now and become an AI engineer. But the reality is so much more accessible. You don't need to know how to build the AI, you just need to develop technical fluency so you can work with it. It's a massive difference.
And technical fluency isn't some vague idea. It really breaks down into 4 concrete things you can learn. First is AI literacy, just knowing the basics of what AI is great at and, maybe more importantly, what it's terrible at. Second, tool proficiency, getting your hands dirty with the AI tools that are actually relevant to your job. Third, data interpretation. That's the skill of looking at what an AI spits out and having the judgment to say, yeah, that makes sense, or nope, that's garbage. And finally, integration skills, figuring out how to weave these tools into your daily workflow to make you better, not to replace you.
So, we've got the what and the how. Now let's make it real. We're going to look at a few stories of people who've navigated this already, and then we're going to talk about the single biggest career trap you absolutely have to avoid.
First up, meet Maria. She's a software developer. She saw AI coding tools getting better and better, and she realized just writing basic code was going to be a commodity. So instead of fighting it, she became an expert at using these AI assistants. She basically gave herself a superpower, amplifying her own skills to tackle way more complex problems where you still need a human brain in charge.
Then we have James. He was an operations manager, and he saw AI starting to automate a lot of the processes he managed. So, what did he do? He pivoted. He took his deep knowledge of how the business actually works and combined it with his new AI literacy. Suddenly, he's the indispensable translator between the tech guys and the business leaders. His experience became more valuable, not less.
And finally, let's look at Aisha, a graphic designer. She saw AI tools generating images in seconds. Instead of panicking, she saw an opportunity. She started using AI for massive brainstorming sessions, getting dozens of concepts in minutes. Then she applied her expert eye, her taste, and her strategic thinking to refine them into something brilliant. The AI did the grunt work, she provided the genius.
These are fantastic stories, right? People who saw the wave coming and learned how to surf. But while it's great to know what to do, it's just as critical to know what not to do. So what's the #1 career trap in the age of AI?
It's this one right here.
Over-specialization, it feels so wrong, doesn't it? For decades, the advice was to specialize, find your niche. But here's the dangerous part. If your deep expertise is in a narrow, repeatable task, well, that's exactly what AI is being designed to automate. Your greatest strength can become your biggest vulnerability, just like that.
This chart just makes it crystal clear. Let's look at the two analysts. On the left, the vulnerable analyst. They are an absolute master of one thing: writing SQL queries to pull standard reports. That is a task, and it's a task that could be automated. But on the right, you've got the valuable analyst. Sure, they know SQL too, but they combine it with business savvy and communication skills. They don't just give you the data, they tell you the story behind the data and recommend what to do next. One is a task doer, the other is a problem solver. That's the difference.
So, how do you make absolutely sure that you're the valuable analyst, not the vulnerable one? This is where we stop talking theory and start crafting your own personal playbook for the future.
So here it is. These are the key plays for your defense. First, you have to maintain that core knowledge of your field. That's the context AI will never have. Then, develop adjacent skills. Learn about the areas that connect to yours. Relentlessly, and I mean relentlessly, work on those human-centered skills we talked about. Always try to see the big picture, the why behind what you're doing. And maybe the most important of all, prioritize learning agility. You have to get really good at learning new things fast.
Look, the strategies are clear, the risks are known, but the opportunities for people who adapt are just massive. So as we wrap up, the only question left isn't for me, it's for you. Your playbook is open. What's your first move going to be?